Hello everyone, I've got this week's quiz up and I'm going to kind of help you navigate and find the information needed to answer these questions. And basically chapters 13 and 14 are all about market failure. Previously we've talked about how the market can operate effectively and efficiently. Now we're going to talk about what if the free market doesn't give us what we want? What can we do to correct for that? And so the book talks about four types of market failure. And question number one, I ask, when firms have power to restrict output, raise prices, and stifle competition and innovation, what type of market failure is that? Well, you may want to go back to chapter 4 because it kind of covers that in chapter 4. And right off the bat, it's going to talk about. By the way, this is the 16th edition, so you may have the 15th edition, so maybe a little bit different. So right at the beginning of the chapter, they talk about market failure, and they talk about the four types of market failure right here. And this is where you could find the information for that particular question. So even though it's covering chapter 13, you're better off going to chapter 4 to find the information for that. For chapter 2, profit regulation of a natural monopoly. So you're going to have to know what a natural monopoly is. But if you go back to chapter 13, let me go to chapter 13. And you can go under natural monopoly right here. And you're going to find the information that you need for that question under natural monopoly. There we go. Here I have a data hunt. So the Department of Justice is in charge of protecting U.S. consumers from market power and evaluating mergers and acquisitions. So I want you to go to this website and read what the Department of Justice says about the proposed merger between Oracle and PeopleSoft. So let me double check that it works. Now, this is pretty straightforward. Now, what I want you to focus on is how did the Department of Justice characterize the competition between the two companies? Now, you may want to do a keyword search for these types of terms, but that's kind of right up in the front of that article. And what state is Oracle and PeopleSoft officially incorporated in? You should be able to find that no problem. So this is a pretty straightforward data hunt question because I give you directly to a link to the article, and you just have to read the article for these two questions. So that's pretty straightforward. Here we got our very first graph, and it kind of looks like a monopoly because you got a downward sloping demand curve, downward sloping marginal revenue curve. Look, we have a downward sloping ATC curve, average total cost curve. That tells you something. That tells you that this is a natural monopoly, right? So if Acme Hauling is free to set any price, what price will it charge to maximize profit? Aha, you just use the 7 steps we went over in Monopoly to find price, quantity, total revenue, and total cost and profit. So I gave you, if you go back to chapter 10, especially if you look at my lecture on chapter 10, you'll be able to determine question 5 by following those 7 steps. What is the maximum profit Acme Hauling can earn each month when it sets its price for refuse collection? Again, that's going to be part of the 7 steps I laid out for you in chapter 10 to find price, quantity, and profit. Use the figure above and suppose Acme Hauling is regulated. So now we're asking, okay, it's a natural monopoly, but what if it's regulated by the city? If the commission wants efficient allocation of resources, which price should it seek? So you have to go back to this graph, and then you've got to go back to the chapter 13, to figure out what is the most efficient way, and that's supply equals demand, by the way. So if I go back to the go to chapter, this is chapter 14, and then I'm going to go to what section I'm going to go to? I'm going to go Definitely natural monopoly, so I'm already there. You can see we have something very similar. This is the downward sloping ATC curve. This is the demand curve and the marginal revenue curve. And it goes over uh, regulation designed to achieve efficient prices. Aha. So if you look at figure 13.2, at least in chapter the 16th edition, you're going to be able to solve question 5 above. What about chapter 8? I mean, question number 8. If the price of chosen by the city is the price required for efficient allocation of resources in the long run. Now that's key, the long run. How many homes will Acme Hauling serve each month? So we're forcing Acme Hauling to charge the efficient price. Will they continue to do this in the long run? So if we go back to the chapter, so if you go to the section under price regulation, specifically under price efficiency, you're going to see the answer to this question in this section right here. So remember, the question is asking if the city is providing them no help and they force them to charge a price where price equals marginal cost, what will they do in the long run in terms of production? What about question number 9? Government intervention can focus on the structure or behavior of a market, antitrust. So basically in chapter 13, they talk about 2 types of approaches to deal with market failure related to market power. And they say that you could focus on antitrust or you could focus on regulation. Now, what I recommend that you do is you listen to my lecture video because I cover that specifically. Let me give you the time segment. So if you go back to, I have 3 lectures, 3 lecture videos on this chapter. Go to the very first one and go to time segment 10 minutes, 25 seconds. I cover information directly related to this question right here. So that would help you right there. And to maximize profit, a natural monopoly produces the level output at which. And basically, if you go back to chapter 10, let me go back to that. I'm sorry, I misspoke. I didn't mean chapter 10, I meant chapter 13. If you look under unregulated behavior in the textbook, you're going to be able to get the information you need for that particular question. You're going to be able to answer question 10 by looking at that part of chapter 13. So this is a pretty straightforward question. There's a set of questions. There's only kind of one technical one with the graph here, but I've given you the area where you need to cover to solve that. So this is pretty straightforward. As always, if you have any questions, you just let me know.